This is Mac OS Ken.
KeyBanc lowers its rating on Apple shares, minor software updates with pretty big fixes, and notable titles head into Apple TV+. It is Thursday, the 5th of October, 2023. I'm Ken Ray, and this is news from Mac OS Ken, brought to you by yours truly and supported by people like you, patrons through Patreon. Find out more and add your support at patreon.com/MacOSCan. KeyBanc analyst Brendan Nispel doesn't hate Apple shares, but he's not in love right now. On Wednesday, Apple 3.0 ran part of a note he wrote wherein he downgraded Apple shares and apparently pulled his price target off the table. Basically, he doesn't see the growth others see coming where Apple is concerned. Here in the States, he's expecting weakness from both Apple and wireless carriers, which I guess means he's still thinking of Apple as just an iPhone company. Outside of the U.S., Nispel says consensus expects every single international segment to show accelerating year-on-year growth in fiscal year 24 versus 23, though he and his struggle to understand why that'll be the case. While consensus expects growth from Apple of about 6% or greater in fiscal 24, Nispel's only looking for growth of 3.5%. Sounds like he likes the direction in which Apple is headed, but currently they're not headed there fast enough. Quoting his note, Apple's user base is growing across products and geographies. Its user growth fuels growth in services, creating an ecosystem that gives Apple a competitive advantage, which should support Apple's margin expansion and capital allocation. But hurry. However, his note goes on to say, we see the stock trading at rich multiples and expect trends in key markets such as the U.S. to remain soft, which puts pressure on international for growth. We're seeing near-term estimates as full, where a re-acceleration in revenue is likely already embedded in expectations, which could prove challenging. Apple's recent margin expansion might slow given low levels of top-line growth, changes in product mix, and investments in R&D for new products. With that, Nispel dropped KeyBanc's rating on Apple from overweight to sector weight, basically moving it from buy to hold. Apple 3.0 says the analyst also dropped his 12-month price target on the shares. It had been $200. Currently, KeyBanc has no posted price target for Apple. Apple's .heat regulator is out, though it does more than nudge the thermostat. Mac Rumors ran a report Wednesday saying Apple had released iOS 17.0.3 and iPadOS 17.0.3. As expected, the piece says the update addresses a significant overheating issue on the iPhone 15 Pro and iPhone 15 Pro Max. While heat was the worry before the iOS 17.0.3 update, there were concerns that Apple would solve the issue by slowing iPhone performance. It seems that did not happen. Some, including TF International analyst Ming-Chi Kuo, had thought Apple might solve the overheating issue by lowering the performance of the iPhone's 3nm A17 Pro processor. The Mac Rumors piece I mentioned had Apple indicating that it had no intention of tweaking the processor. Now a piece from AppleInsider says the Cupertino company seems to have stuck to that. Admitting that they were writing less than 2 hours after the update hit, a post posted midday Wednesday by AppleInsider said initial testing under iOS 17.0.3 shows that there does not appear to be any impact to performance. Quoting the piece, in the hour and a half that 17.0.3 has been available, we've updated a few of our iPhones with the patch and reran benchmarking we relied upon in some of our reviews. We ran every benchmark we did in reviews several times across multiple runs and users. In every case, we got what we saw in the studies with little or no variance. Conceding that your mileage may vary, AppleInsider says initial testing with a wide net shows no significant performance issues induced by the patch. Now, if you're like me, you may be wondering why Apple released iPadOS 17.0.3, as well as the update for the phone. There were no overheating issues associated with the tablet, no performance issues about which we had heard since iOS 17 made the scene. What they were fixing was behind the scenes. A piece from 9 to 5 Mac says the two 17.0.3 updates come with two important security fixes, including a fix for a breach that had been actively exploited. Apple security notes say the updates address kernel and WebRTC vulnerabilities. On the first one, Apple says it is aware of a report that this issue may have been actively exploited against versions of iOS before iOS 16.6. As thing follows thing, so do these things follow the things just like them. I told you yesterday that a new round of OS betas had been seeded by Apple to developers. Now it's same again for the public testing people. According to a couple of posts from Mac Rumors, members of the Apple Public Testing Program now have access to the second betas of iOS and iPadOS 17.1, as well as macOS Sonoma 14.1. Meanwhile, a piece from 9 to 5 Mac indicates that the same is true for the second betas of watchOS 10.1 and tvOS 17.1. I'd like to see a bit more on that before saying it's so, though. The 9 to 5 Mac piece was Tuesday's article about all of the developer betas from the day before, with the added line, update, public beta versions of iOS 17.1 and company are out today. If you're in the public testing program, you do have at least a few new betas to check out. If you're not in that program and regret your life choices, it's not too late. More info is available at beta.apple.com. Nothing surprising about this next story. If any of us had thought about it, we'd have likely guessed, but Apple has made it official. If you're developing apps for visionOS, you'll need to be working on a Mac powered by Apple Silicon. AppleInsider says the Cupertino company made that clear with the release this week of Xcode Beta 15.1. The piece says that came with a warning for developers. Creating apps for visionOS and Apple Vision Pro requires a Mac with Apple Silicon. Quoting the report, while the visionOS simulator may work on some Intel-based Macs, Apple is telling developers that some portion of development won't be available on Intel either now or soon. That means any developer still sporting an Intel processor will need to consider an upgrade to Apple Silicon. Quick aside, Dr. Robert, I feel your pain. Sorry I've not written back, but we reach. Also, you may not be alone for much longer. The AppleInsider piece goes on to say Apple declaring Apple Silicon as a requirement for developing visionOS software might be a sign of a greater move coming soon. Some speculate that macOS Sonoma may be the last operating system to support Intel. A new set of colors for a very old set of headphones. Very old by modern tech standards anyway. Mac Rumors says the 7-year-old Beats Solo 3 wireless on-ear headphones now come in two colors new to the line, gold and silver. They join black, rose gold, and product red. The range of Beats Solo 3 Apple is still selling, much to my surprise. You kind of wonder whether they just found a forgotten palette of these things someplace. The piece says the company used to offer Beats Solo 3 in satin gold and satin silver, colors that were discontinued in late 2020. So if their return is what you've been waiting for, the $199 gold and silver headphones are available now from Apple. Apple TV Plus is making another run at making a kid-focused holiday special. a year after the Academy Award-winning short The Boy, the Mole, the Fox, and the Horse, a piece from AppleInsider has the streaming service kicking off the holiday viewing season with a production of The Velveteen Rabbit. Based on the treasured classic children's book by Marjorie Williams, Apple's press release on the title says the story celebrates the magic of unconditional love. When 7-year-old William receives a new favorite toy for Christmas, he discovers a lifelong friend and unlocks a world of magic. It's not the part I remember, but cool. The 40-minute show hits Apple TV Plus globally on Wednesday, the 22nd of November, the day before Thanksgiving in the U.S., seriously kicking off the holiday season. Unless you count Halloween, which I guess Apple does. The aforementioned press release highlights It's the Great Pumpkin Charlie Brown. The company says non-subscribers to Apple TV Plus will be able to stream the classic for free through the Apple TV app over the weekend of October 21st and 22nd. This year marks the 50th anniversary of A Charlie Brown Thanksgiving. Folks can stream that for free over the November 18th and 19th weekend. For Apple TV Plus subscribers, there are 3 new specials premiering on Friday, the 1st of December, including a Frog and Toad Christmas special, a Christmas special episode of The Snoopy Show, and a Shape Island winter special. A Charlie Brown Christmas streams for everyone over the weekend of December 16th and 17th. Then wrapping up the year for subscribers, there's a Sago Mini Friends New Year's Eve special on the way that will premiere on Friday, the 22nd of December. And finally today, an unfinished novel by Edith Wharton is a finished TV series coming soon to Apple TV+. The Cupertino streamer issued a press release Wednesday announcing a premiere date and a trailer for the show The Buccaneers. According to Apple, The Buccaneers is a new 8-episode drama inspired by Pulitzer Prize-winning author Edith Wharton's unfinished novel of the same name. Describing the show, the streamer says girls with money, men with power, new money, old secrets. A group of fun-loving young American girls explode into the tightly corseted London season of the 1870s, kicking off an Anglo-American culture clash as the land of the stiff upper lip is infiltrated by a refreshing disregard for centuries of tradition. Sent to secure husbands and titles, the Buccaneers' hearts are set on much more than that, and saying I do is just the beginning. I love Edith Wharton, and I love a period drama, and I'm not sure how I feel about this one. The cast looks great, the settings look lush, the whole thing looks a bit modern, but I do love Edith Wharton. You can see the trailer now on YouTube, and you don't have to wait long for the series. The first 3 episodes hit Apple TV Plus on Wednesday, the 8th of November. They'll run 1 per week on successive Wednesdays through the middle of December. Hey, before we shuffle off today, I want to tell you about a thing that's happening on Patreon. We are chatting. The support platform turned on its much-anticipated chat feature for everybody on Wednesday. Much anticipated by me, anyway. To take part, you have to be a paid supporter on Patreon. That's their role, not mine. Though that's true down to as little as $1 a month. You also have to use the Patreon mobile app. Chat does not work on the desktop. I haven't been active on Facebook for years. I'm pretty much not on X at this point. I'm also not on Twitter. That's a joke. Chats on Patreon may be a fun way for us to connect. We'll find out. If you're already a Patreon supporter, the chats are open now. If you're not, I'll tell you how to be one in about 10 seconds. macOS Ken, brought to you by me and supported by people like you, patrons through Patreon. Find out more and add your support at patreon.com/macOSKen. Advertising handled by Backbeat Media, online at backbeatmedia.com. You can reach me a couple of ways. Info at macosken.com or call 716-780-4080. Until next time, that is news from macOS Ken. I'm Ken Ray.
Ciao.